Well, hello there, and thank you for joining us today on This Won't Last Call. Today's episode, we're going to go ahead and do a little holiday type deal again. Did the Christmas episode last week, so obviously that needs New Year's this week. So, in honor of New Year's, I'm going to go ahead and make not one, not two, but 3 different champagne cocktails. Ooh! So, I'm going to make the very classic Mimosa. I'm going to make an Aperol spritz. Maybe a few people would not have Aperol lying around their house, but it's worth giving it a try. And then I'm going to make a French 75, which I've never actually had before, so I'm excited to try that out. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started and make the Mimosa. Yes, we have our ingredients now. Simply enough, it's orange juice, and it's your fine champagne. This I got BOGO this week. Never had it before. Mimosa Cristalino. It's a brut. It says cava. I don't know what that means. Sounds like something that Trump would say. It very clearly says on it that Mimosa Cristalino is not affiliated with or sponsored by in any way connected to Louis Roederer's Cristal champagne or Louis Roederer. So you know it must be good because they're required to put a statement on the bottle that says they're not related. All right. Well, I'm also going to possibly try off a little triple sec in there, just for an extra little zip. Totally optional. Don't have to do it. All right. Here comes the fun part. Okay, we just didn't foam up on me. So, easy enough for Mimosa. Just do half and half orange juice and champagne. That's it. That's the whole recipe. And really, you don't have to do half and half. Do it to your personal taste, your personal preference. Typically, I believe you do the OJ first so that the champagne floats a bit. So we'll do that. About halfway, maybe a little more. Be pouring it into my single stemless flute, champagne flute, which used to be a set of 4, I think, and I proceeded to break them at various times in the year, leaving me only one lonely flute. You add your champagne. Stirring is optional. Some people like to have the champagne float on top. Oh, that smells nice. Anyways, that's it. That's a Mimosa. Not too terribly hard. And again, you can beef it up, give it a boost, a little triple sec, or any kind of liquor if you want. Liqueur. I would imagine this tastes very good with maybe some elderflower liqueur. I have that too, but I'm not going to do that today. Refreshing. Absolutely. Taste it with the triple sec. Just a splash. Honestly, I can barely taste the difference. Might be a little bit more orangey, but I can't really taste any increase in booze or anything. But mimosas are refreshing. They're delicious. I mean, orange juice in itself is a wonderful and delicious drink. And then you add on, a nice cold champagne. Get some bubbles in there. Delicious. Mimosa. Simple. Classic. More what you want. Next up, we're going to do the Aperol spritz. Alright, so the Aperol spritz. Very easy. You go with 2 ounces of Aperol, Aperol, I don't know, whatever. This stuff, which is actually it's actually quite tasty. This is an aperitif. Basically bitter orange, several other things, gentian, I think, all sorts of stuff. It is unique in the same way that Campari is, but this is a little bit more on the refreshing side, a little bit more fruit forward, a little bit less bitter, like straight bitter. It doesn't have that old man funk, as I like to call it, that Campari has. This actually has kind of a refreshing zest to it. So I recommend trying it in various drinks. Aperol Spritz, one of the best. Also fun to spice up a Paloma, is add some of this into it as well. So, gonna do you build it into the glass. So let's ice it up. And you probably want to do a fair amount of ice in this because this is supposed to be a bit more of a refreshing drink. This is a light drink. This is a session drink. You can have several of them. It's not particularly boozy or anything. Aperol is only like 11% alcohol by volume. Yeah, 11%. So like it would depend on the type of champagne that you use. Typically you want to use a prosecco with this because it has a little bit more of a fruity flavor to it. I'm just going to stick with my Brut because that's what I have. I couldn't imagine that would be all that much of a problem for it. I'm sure it's going to taste fine. Recommends to build this in a wine glass. I don't really have too many wine glasses, so I do have this double-walled thingamajigger here. One of my glasses are stemless. I hate stems. They're just too dainty. 2 ounce. 2 ounce Aperol. 3 ounce prosecco. I don't even think that's gonna fit in my glass. And then you're gonna go ahead and top it off with some club soda. Today we're using Publix's Finest. Just to spritz it on top. Again, as you can tell, it's a very light drink. Crisp, clean, refreshing, light. I like this drink. It's a fun one. It's a great brunch drink. And it's a little more complex than Mimosa. Probably not quite as refreshing, but more interesting. Has more depth to it. The Aperol definitely adds some unique characteristics to it. It's a fun liqueur. It's a fun aperitif, but it can be challenging to use if you're trying different things and trying different ways to involve it, because it has a unique flavor. Bitter orange is the best way I can describe it. There's some light vanilla notes in it, very vegetal, very herbal kind of things going on there, botanical plants basically. That is good, and I can definitely see it being a little bit better with the prosecco because the prosecco's being a bit more fruity. Brut is a little bit more straight champagne, lightly funky grapes. I think it would definitely benefit from being a little bit more fruity, but it's still good, still tasty, still refreshing. Yeah. On to the next one, the last one. So, for our final drink, we're going to do the French 75. I've never had it before. I've heard about it several times. Don't know what to expect from it. Should be interesting. Anyways, this consists of gin, preferably London Dry. Just bought this today just for the occasion. Been on a gin kick as of the last few months anyways. So I'm going to see how this does. So gin. Superfine sugar, which I went out and bought a thing of it just so that I could have it, just so I knew what it was like. But apparently, all you really need to do is use regular sugar and put it in the blender for a bit. Neat. But me not being entirely confident in my skills and abilities in that way, I like to just go ahead and buy the ready-made stuff. Then, I have something to compare it to, professionally made one. Also, next ingredient, you're going to have champagne, of course, but we won't get that later. You have lemon juice. And you're going to mix that all together in a cocktail shaker, and then you're going to fill or top off with your champagne. Fine champagne. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and put in 2 ounces of London Dry gin. It's working. 2 ounces. I'm going to give this a taste test because I haven't actually had it before. Right off the bat, it smells very alcoholic. It has almost a medicinal type quality to it. Kind of like rubbing alcohol, but not that bad. But vaguely familiar with it. You get a lot of pine, a lot of herbal notes. Gin. Anyways, let's taste it. Same. high alcohol, pine, a little sweetness. There's various botanical notes. This tastes like a slightly smoother version of Tanqueray to me. Ford's gin. Heard about it a lot. A lot of these guys on the YouTubes that I watch, they seem to recommend that for the London dries. Then I've gotten into Hendrix as well. And of course, if you're watching my videos, Aviation is also very good for me. Anyways, so 2 ounces of gin, 1 tisp of superfine sugar. You're superfine sugar now. Singing optional. That's a heavy teaspoon. Sorry, tisp. Superfine sugar is very interesting. It's like significantly less granular. It's not quite so powdery as like confectioner's sugar or powdered sugar, but it is like almost more like sand, which is rough and of course and irritating and gets everywhere. But in this case, it's just perfectly fine. All right, next we do a ½ ounce lemon juice. Oh. Shake. The next tells us to put it in a glass with ice. So I'm going to use my superpowers to fill this glass with ice. It also moved a few inches. So it's important to note that the instructions say to put it in a glass half full with ice. I am a pessimist, so I could only find a glass half empty with ice. Anyways, you go ahead and you put that in your glass and make sure it's still shaking. Don't stir. So, one thing to note, you may want to thoroughly shake it, because even as I was pouring it there, I kind of saw like granule sugar in there. So maybe you gotta shake it for a little extra longer just to make sure that it incorporates a little bit better. Now the recipe I have calls for 5 ounces of champagne. I don't think there's 5 ounces of room in that glass. However, it also just says to top with the champagne. So I mean, just like most drinks like this, it's more like to taste or just to put a little extra on it. So we're gonna do that. So the thing of topping a drink with champagne or club soda or something like that is that it tends to evolve over time. Because you get the little float on top and you start drinking it and it mixes it, and it's a little more dominant of the champagne for first few sips. And then as you continue to progress through the drink, the flavor of the rest of the drink, the booze, the heavy stuff, tends to set in afterwards, which is an interesting experience because it changes over time. But also, I think by design, it's helpful because that lighter portion of the drink, the alcohol, prepares you a little bit for the heavier stuff. So, cheers, I guess. French 75. My first time trying it. Let's see what it is. It smells fine. Interesting. Hard to describe what's going on there. Obviously, the champagne is very forward because it's sitting at the top, but the gin, as it tries to come through, the botanical notes take a strong hold. The astringent alcohol flavor and everything is almost gone, but it's very heavily, herbal. It's unique. Hard to figure out exactly what's going on there because it's very divisive in my opinion. The champagne and the gin, they play well, but they're very separate entities in this drink. Overall, probably not going to make it into my lexicon, but it's fine. I don't know. I don't dislike it, but I don't particularly like it. Maybe not recommend. Wasn't I don't know what I was expecting. So, with my moderate disappointment in this drink, I may go ahead and do a fourth one. I'll be back. Okay, so I decided to go one more because I didn't particularly care for the French 75. That being said, I don't think I incorporated the sugar very well. I think it came out to be just very ginny, and I don't know if that's really beneficial to that drink. So my recommendation is if you do go with the French 75, make sure that you really shake it and get that sugar dissolved so that it's actually, contributes to the drink, because I think I barely tasted any sugar in that, which there needed to be a sweetness, a bridge in that. So I suppose using the superfine sugar is traditional for that recipe, but you could probably use half an ounce of simple syrup instead. Would probably work just as well, if not better. So taking that into consideration for this next drink called an airmail. Look, this kind of intrigued me. It actually seems like the Caribbean version of the French 75. Interesting note I should have mentioned, the French 75 is named after a cannon because it hits like a cannonball. Anyways, continuing on. Airmail, don't know why. Maybe because it gets you high. Anyways, gold rum, 2 ounces. Half an ounce of lime juice this time. 1 tisp of honey, but in this case I'm going to go ahead and take my own advice and use a half an ounce of honey syrup. Honey syrup is a 1-to-1 ratio of water and honey, boiled and then cooled and then put into a container. It's easy to make. It just makes the honey more dissolved so that it mixes easier. But that should probably be about right on the money. Right on the money, honey. And then 5 ounces of brut champagne. We'll see how that goes. Again, I'm going to use my Pilsner glass, which has my initials written on it. Anyways, did that myself, by the way, with a stencil kit. So, why am I using the Pilsner glass? I don't know. Just seemed like it would be the right size, the length. Presentation is nice. Anyways, so let's get started. 2 ounces of golden rum. In this case, using Flor de Caña 7-year. Supposedly the better one than the 4-year, supposedly. My thoughts on it were that it was a little bit astringent, but I did that in one of my other videos. Don't remember which one it was. Feel free to take a listen. I think it was the German vacation. Feel free to check it out. 2 ounces. Gonna do a little taste. Tastes fine, but it is a little bit astringent. I think it's calmed down a bit. But anyways, 2 ounces of that. Half an ounce of lime. And a teaspoon of honey. Barring having a teaspoon of honey again, for ease of use, honey syrup, half an ounce should probably be about the same. Take it all up. Use your magic powers to produce ice in your glass. Boom! In this case, I'm no longer a pessimist or an optimist, but a realist. There is an indeterminate amount of ice in this glass. Anyways, so a little more. Pour it up. Pour it up. Highly doubtful that there's 5 ounces in there, but they recommend 5 ounces. But again, it's more of a topper. This is my 4th drink in a row, so by now my my champagne is a bit warm, so the ice is helping. Let's see how it tastes. It looks fine. Right now I'm just getting the champagne notes, but That's a touch better. It doesn't have that aggressive, I hesitate to say bitter from the last one, but vegetal, botanical, earthy notes that the French 75 did. It's certainly on the more the sweeter side, I guess, but it's still a little bit. See what we got when we mix it a little bit. It's an improvement. It certainly is. I wish there was more honey to it. I don't know how to do that, how to make that more honey-y, but it's better. It's better. Not fantastic, but it's better. Really, it complements the champagne much better. I barely noticed the rest of the ingredients in it. It just comes out as, the sweet, fruity, slightly tart taste that champagne normally has. So the brut one having a bit of a funk to it. And rum, of course, having its own funk. I guess that contributes to it. Even honey, even lime. All of them have a bit of a funk. So there's like a must, for lack of a better term. But it's assertive, it's tasty, it's fine. It's not too aggressive, but it's not super light either. Fairly middle of the road, but good. Good. If you like a funky drink, a musty drink, something with a little bit of character to it, I think it'd be a better choice than the French 75. French 75 is just super, botanical. Bitter, chewing on a root. Not good. But it has its place, I'm sure. Anyways, so 4 champagne cocktails. Of all of them, honestly, I think the Mimosa is the best. The Aperol spritz is fine too, but just plain old Mimosa. Champagne and orange juice. Hard to go wrong with that. And as far as for your New Year's Eve, obviously you probably would want to just go with plain champagne or whatever else you want to drink. Either way, fun times, good stuff. Happy New Year to you. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate you tuning in. This has been This Won't Last Call. Please feel free to check out the podcast, This Won't Last podcast, wherever fine podcasts are streamed. We didn't do an episode this week, which is the week of Christmas, for reasons. Hopefully we'll get back on it pretty soon here. Either way, check us out. Visit us on the socials, This Won't Last Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, etc., etc., etc. Just Google us. Comment, interact. Appreciate it. Instagram is our biggest thing right now. God knows why. Anyways, give us ideas. Tell me what you like to hear. Tell me what you like to see on this show. Let me know what's going on in your life. It's because I'm bored. I'm bored. I don't know why. Anyways, one last note. We have a partnership currently with brightswimwear.com. Apparently they want us to help promote their swimwear line, which is a luxury swimwear line for everyday people. So brightswimwear.com has given us a promo code for you to use to save 25%. The promo code is TWL25. Use it on brightswimwear.com when you check out TWL25. Well, thanks again for watching. Appreciate all you folks out there. All of you. You know who you are. Anyways, hope to see you on the next episode. Bye!